Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for joining Teamsters Local 320's news conference today to address our state legislature's failure to reach a supplemental budget deal out of public safety that would affect all of the courts, guardian ad litems, and personnel of the State Board of Public Defense. Teamsters Local 320 represents roughly 10,000 public employees across the state of Minnesota. Teamsters Local 320 is the largest labor union representing Minnesota's judicial branch. Our membership is comprised of assistant district public defenders, public defense support staff, court operations staff, guardian ad litem coordinators, and state of Minnesota court reporters. The state legislature's failure on Sunday to pass its omnibus public safety and judiciary bill is devastating to an already overloaded and under-resourced judicial system. The caseload crisis and the COVID-19 backlog created a perfect storm of resignations from public defenders and other court personnel. Most important of all, Minnesotans will bear the brunt of this deteriorating situation. If you ask any public defender why they are leaving the agency, they will tell you that it's uncompetitive pay and absolutely unmanageable caseloads. This pattern continues across the entire justice system. Minnesota's judicial branch is a co-equal branch of government alongside the executive and legislative branches. Public defense is a constitutionally mandated service that the state of Minnesota must provide to all of its citizens. Today, we call on Governor Walz, House Speaker Melissa Hortman, and Senate Majority Leader Jeremy Miller to get back to the table and finish their job. We are demanding a special session to fully fund public defense and the Minnesota courts. Today, you will hear from assistant district public defenders and court personnel who will discuss the caseload crisis and the COVID-19 backlog and how the legislature's inaction is creating a judicial emergency in Minnesota courts. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to say a few words. And now what I want to do is go ahead and introduce a group of people that we have with us today on the local unions panel. We have with us Local 320's President Sami Gabriel, a court operations associate, Heather Ahern, Assistant District Public Defender from the 9th Judicial District, Jessen Alexander, a state of Minnesota court reporter, Ashley Welz, Assistant District Public Defender from the 3rd Judicial District, Grant Sanders, and another court operations associate, Barb Allen. I'll now call on Local 320's President, Sami Gabriel.
Thanks, Brian. Appreciate everybody coming and joining us for this very important conference today to get the word out that it is vitally important for the governor to call for a special session. I represent the Court Ops Associates group and co-represent the court reporters with Business Agent Chad Orgon. Those two groups, when we negotiated the last contract for fiscal year 22 and fiscal year 23, received the same that all other state employees got in the first year of the contract, which was a 2.5% increase. For the second year of the contract, starting July 1st of this year, 2022, there is a true wage reopener. There is 0% built into those contracts for increases for our, again, court ops associates and our court reporters. Without a special session and without the state funding the courts, these folks are going to have 0% increase on July 1st. They are nearly the only state employees in the whole state of Minnesota that will receive a 0% increase. And that's just not acceptable for our people. So again, we demand that the governor calls a special session. Our courts have been holding together the state's judiciary branch and system to throughout COVID. And every day our people are at the courts. You see them when you go in, you see them at the counter, they're answering the phones, they're in the courtrooms, and they need a raise just like everybody else, all other state employees. So demanding, get back to the table, put that money where we need it with our court folks. And Brian, I'll turn it back to you.
Sami, thank you so much. Heather Ahern.
Thank you, Brian. My name is Heather Ahern. I work in Goodhue County in the 1st Judicial District as a court operations associate. I've been here for just over 23 years working in the family division. I took a pay cut when I took this job. My starting salary was $11 an hour. 23 years later, the starting salary is about $18 an hour, the same as you can get working nights and weekends at Culver's. I used to have 4 family clerks in my division, and we are now down to 2. Our last job opening had 0 applicants for it. I had a 5-year stretch in the last 10 years with no raise at all. And the years we do get a raise, it averages about 2%. 2% on $18 an hour is not very much. It's 36 cents to be exact. It doesn't keep up with the 7.3% grocery inflation we're experiencing, or the 41.5% gas inflation prices that we have right now. Like many of my coworkers, I work 2 jobs. I have a child starting in college in 1 month, and I worry about how I will be able to afford the cost of tuition and the cost of fuel prices to get him back and forth each day. At the courts, I work with mentally ill people, people who are going through heated divorces, families who are getting their children taken away from them, and people who need restraining orders. I have to work from home. I had to learn Zoom court. We had to close our doors and still try to help the public access the justice system and continue to provide essential services from my kitchen table. We have a $9.2 billion surplus. For the first time in many years, we have a chance to catch up, not to get ahead, but to catch up and compensate the judicial branch employees for the hard work we do every day. I humbly demand that the governor call a special session and that the legislature go back to the Capitol and finish the work they started. Thank you.
Thank you, Heather. Assistant District Public Defender, Jessen Alexander.
Thanks, Brian. My name is Jessen Alexander, Jessen. Alexander's Alexander. I've been a public defender in Northwest Minnesota for roughly 9.5 years. In that time period, I've seen attorney after attorney leave our office. Most of the time it's for differing pay. Many have gone over to become prosecutors with lighter caseloads, more manageable work, life balance. I currently have 190 files open right now. I can't do my job effectively as what's constitutionally required as far as I'm concerned. I'm doing triage work, and I'm continually asked to do more with less. There's not enough time in the day for us to complete our constitutionally required work. This current crisis that we're going through with our caseloads should be very concerning to everybody. It's a crisis of conscience. It's a crisis with the Constitution. We need to have more applicants, and the only way for us to do that is for us to get increased wages and to actually fully fund public defense for the first time in probably its history in Minnesota. We can't keep doing this. We're empty. Please, Governor, please call a special session. That's all I have.
Jessen, thank you very much. I'd like to now call on State of Minnesota Court Reporter Ashley Welz.
Good afternoon. My name is Ashley Welz, and I'm a court reporter in the 8th District, chambered out of Wilmer in Candy, Ohio County. I have been a reporter with the branch for 8.5 years. When our world was quickly turned upside down with the pandemic, my job duties did not stop. My team was part of a child protection pilot program, and the rules, statutes, and federal funding for those matters were not waived during that time. I was required to report for work and quickly figure out a way for all parties to virtually appear without help. It fell on me. The demands of the job continue to increase with less resources. The courts are at a breaking point. It's nearly impossible to get qualified applicants for court reporter positions. To get started as a reporter, it can cost upwards of $10,000 out of the reporter's personal pocket. The cost of equipment to do our jobs is also rising. Equipment does not last forever, and we are required to replace our own equipment when it does not function as it should. I desperately need a new laptop, and I'm just hobbling along until it completely crashes on me. Court reporters have actually had income taken away from them due to the implementation of a pilot program regarding certain transcripts. Court reporter wages have been stagnant for years, and increases do not reflect the cost of living in the times we're living in, especially now with the current inflation. My team does not work remotely, and my cost to commute to work has significantly increased. I don't just work in one county, and reimbursement for that required travel does not cover the wear and tear on my personal vehicle. I am not alone in this. We need this budget to be passed so that we can attract qualified reporters and to keep the current reporters that we have. We will lose reporters if this budget is not passed, and the courts will struggle even more. With this $9.3 billion surplus, we should be able to give our reporters what they need and deserve. We demand that the governor call for a special session as soon as feasibly possible, and we demand that the legislature get back to work and finish the work they started to pass the budget.
Ashley, thank you so much. I'd like now to call on Barb Allen.
Thank you, Brian. Hello, my name is Barb Allen. I've been with the Minnesota Judicial Branch as a court operations associate just over 22 years. And I currently work in Wadena County, and part of the time I have worked in Todd County also. The area that I work in is family, civil commitments, OFPs, harassments, and any of the other subcategories that fall within that. I love the work that I do, but I've witnessed my job go from one that many people wanted and would apply for to a job that few apply for, and even fewer will actually accept it. This position continues to require more and more technical ability, has more demands, requires more knowledge, and we do it with fewer and fewer employees. We worked hard through the pandemic. We had to learn a new way to do a lot of things and to adapt to the changes. We serve the public, and some of the people we deal with on a daily basis are disgruntled, frustrated, being committed as mentally ill, or going through proceedings that may end in their children being taken away. The work that we do is essential to justice, and it is critical that we make a wage that would draw competent, qualified people. We do an important job. I have witnessed many, many people leave before their first year anniversary, and seen many people leave that have been with the branch for many years. People don't want to do this job and make less than a private sector job that they could get, and that would be far less detailed. Over the years, we have taken little or no raises when the funding was low. Now with a huge surplus, it is time to bring the wages up so we can keep valuable people and continue to do quality work for the people of Minnesota. We demand that a special session be called so this matter can be addressed. Thank you.
Barb, thank you so much. And now we'll have Assistant District Public Defender Grant Sanders.
Good morning, Brian, and thank you for having us on. I'm an assistant public defender in the 3rd Judicial District. I've been practicing there for 15 years. I've never seen turnover in our office like I have in the past 2 years. Public defender, the tanks are empty on the people who are working there, and the caseload crisis continues to abate. I find it ironic that the legislature wishes to fund public safety, but at the same time won't fund a constitutional co-equal branch of government. There are several major issues within the public defender system. The first within our district alone is, as I've highlighted, is the turnover. For instance, we had someone last for 2 months and go to work for the Attorney General's office at significantly more. We had onboarded somebody and had done orientation with them, and they lasted for 2 weeks in the role. We're seeing the office, particularly the younger attorneys, burning out or just saying no to working at the public defender's office. That could be because of the low compensation. It could be because of the high caseloads, or it could be because of the stress associated with the job. In the last 2 years, I've seen the mental health crisis firsthand on the front lines as a public defender. We've had more clients found incompetent in the last 2 years than in the last prior 10 years before that in my practice. Those are people that without our assistance would be prosecuted for things that they are alleged to have done, but at the same time, they're suffering from mental deficiencies that would prevent them from understanding the crime that they did, and they would be considered incompetent under court rules. It's critical that the governor and the legislature get together and fund adequately a co-equal branch of government. I find it very ironic that when I awoke and found that the session had ended, that people in the legislature prioritized getting a deal done for 5 beer companies over funding a co-equal branch of government, co-equal to the governor's mansion, co-equal to the legislature itself. That's bad prioritization for Minnesota. What's happened during the pandemic is the people who are poor and vulnerable have suffered the most. They suffer from homelessness, they suffer from addiction, they suffer from mental health, and they also suffer from legal problems. We're urging the governor to adequately fund the public defense. We're urging the legislature to adequately fund the courts and public defense. And we're also urging the governor to start a special session as soon as a deal can be reached. I'm concerned that something that everybody says that we can agree upon, which is the funding of the courts, is being held hostage to other priorities. If we can agree on this, let's get it done. Let's call a special session and let's move to fund adequately a co-equal branch of government. Thank you.